Welcome to Indiana basketball.
ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, presents the youth of America doing their best. This is Scholastic Sports America.
Hello everyone, I'm Melissa Stark. Welcome to SSA. We come to you from a fitting location this week for a very unique show. Hinkle Fieldhouse on the campus of Butler University in Indianapolis. It's a familiar setting for those of you fond of the movie Hoosiers. Glorified by the movie, that shot simulated the buzzer beater of March 20th, 1954, when Bobby Plump won the game from right here. Milan High, with a student body of just 161 students, beat state power Muncie Central, which at the time had well over 1,000 students. From Mount Vernon to Angola, that was the shot heard in every corner of the state. David had beaten Goliath, and Indiana came to identify with the underdog. The Milan Miracle was a fairy tale for all ages, never to be repeated again. And so that's why we've come here, to chronicle the end of an American institution, class-free basketball. In a generation of states divided by the letter A from 1 to 6, Indiana has resisted to change until now, for better or for worse.
I grew up in a small rural community. I grew up on a farm, and my days consisted of, as a young kid, going out in the barn with my dad, and after the chores were done, going up and shooting jump shots inside the barn.
You just think of driving through cornfields and then showing up at a gym, a packed house on Friday nights where the whole town, you know, that's the biggest thing in town is high school basketball games on Friday night.
It is a legacy, a passion that has never skipped a generation in the state of Indiana. The love of high school basketball represents more than a game to native Hoosiers. It has become a cultural marker of sorts for young and old, a rite of passage for its children, and a historical timekeeper for its old. 1930, Connorsville state champs. 1975, Lebanon victorious, and so on. It is still a sport at the core for all to enjoy. But here in Indiana, it has always been so much more.
The community lived around the basketball program. Everybody went to the basketball games on Friday and Saturday nights. And decisions were made there. It didn't make any difference if you had a great team, a mediocre team, or a bad team. Your community followed you.
Everybody was behind the 5 kids that were on that floor, and I don't know. I mean, it was that town's identification, and boy, they wanted to win basketball. That was it's a badge of identification, and when they had winning teams, it was a major item of pride.
And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says, at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
The movie is something, as you grow up, you're going to see, no matter who you are, or what your parents do. It's something that it seems like everybody's involved in. You know, it's a small town. Basketball is the main hoopla in the town. That's what everybody comes to do on a Friday night.
That movie has probably done more to promote the continuance of the one-class system more than anything else.
My boys only know basketball, farming, and school, probably in that order. Most of them never seen a building taller than 2 stories except in a photograph, so taking them to Indianapolis, played in front of 15,000 people, is kind of like you and me going to the moon.
On April 29th, the board of directors voted by a margin of 12-5 to implement multiple class sports in all team sports in the IHSA program.
What happened last April 29th was a vote that did end an institution. In a state that rarely embraces change, the IHSAA, supported by a vote of state principals, eliminated one-class basketball, at least for now. Will Hoosier hysteria live on? Probably. but I get the feeling that things around here will never be the same.
It's too bad that the old-fashioned way that we did it here in Indiana wasn't good enough, because this is a rich and vibrant tradition we have here, historically speaking, and it's going to be difficult to replace that, I think, when you divide the tournament by 4.
It's always good with a team, with a school or a state with that much tradition, to give a school of a smaller size of number a chance to play with the big boys. You know, I think that's the greatest thing about the tradition of the high school basketball in Indiana.
This debate about class basketball is not new in Indiana, but for decades, that was all it was, a debate, until the IHSAA board voted for a change. The reasoning was that if there were 4 classes, more kids would share in the joy of winning a title. But it seems from the athletes to the coaches, reaction has landed squarely in opposition to the ruling.
Our emphasis is on, we want more people to celebrate a championship, but I really think that they're forgetting we're gaining a lot more than just championships in this tournament. There are a lot of things that are valuable to these kids, and just as valuable as taking home a trophy.
I think that most of the players want it to stay one class and everything, but I think it's a lot of other people who want something that's not best for the kids and the players and stuff.
The all-comers tournament, where everybody gets in, everybody has a chance, is so much a part of our fabric and so much of a part of an America that's slipping away, not only in basketball, but just in a lot of other ways. And
what Milan High did in 1954 reverberates to the heart of the argument to maintain one-class basketball. On that night, the underdog stood tall. Perennial state power Muncie Central lost on a last-second shot. It made young Bobby Plump a hero.
And I stopped and shot a jump shot, and when it left my hands, I knew it was going in.
Milan with 18 seconds to go, and the scorecard turned to 30. Seconds. Plump holds it. He's dribbling around. 10 seconds. 9 seconds. Bobby Plump dribbling. 6 seconds. Plump going down. Jump. Shoots from the circle. Scores! Now 1 second. The game's over.
Probably the greatest instantaneous thrill a kid could ever have in his life.
The shot won Milan their only state title. It helped quell the proponents of a class system even some 43 years ago. Jeff Cadeau Jr.'s Sunday column from the Indianapolis Star on March 21st carried the voice of many Hoosiers, then and now. Quote, those great little men who surely must have put an end for all time to this foolish talk of having a basketball tournament divided into classes. You couldn't have divided yesterday's tournament into classes. Those men of Milan were in a class all by themselves.
The Davids battling the Goliaths, and they're winning and they're competing. And I think people respect that. They like to see kids who rise above maybe their own abilities somewhat and compete against the big boys.
Anybody have anything they want to say?
Yeah. Let's win this and for all the small schools who never had a chance to get here.
Anybody who's seen Hoosiers dreams of hitting a shot like that, and even some kids may not get the chance, so now that we're here, we're just trying to, everyone on our team is hoping that maybe they get that shot.
Growing up, this is what I dreamed of, and as a senior, you know, you couldn't ask for anything more than being the last team in the Final Four ever in Indiana history.
4 teams started this final one-class, one-day showdown to decide the 1997 champion. Bloomington North, the #1 team in the state, advanced with a win over Kokomo. Delta High, the smallest of this year's finalists with a student body of 900, was down by 1 with 9 seconds to play against LaPorte High.
No matter what, we're playing in the last game of the last one-class tournament in Indiana, and it's Hoosier hysteria at its finest.
Next, the game of their lives. Delta High against Bloomington North. Winner takes all in the Indiana State Basketball Championship game.
Welcome back to SSA in Indiana. If it were 43 years ago, this corner of 49th Street and Boulevard would be buzzing with anticipation on game day. But instead, Ever since 1990, Hoosier hysteria has given way to corporate America. Forget traditions and historical significance. The tournament is no longer held at Hinkle Fieldhouse. It's in a dome.
Scott Eaker, Bob De Niro. We are back live courtside at the RCA Dome, getting set for the championship game of the 87th annual Boys Basketball State Finals, Bloomington North and Delta.
Once you step on the floor, it pretty much becomes just who executes for 32 minutes, and the X's and O's will mean a little bit, but not as much. It just comes down to who wants it more and who's going to dig down, because it'll be the second game of the day.
You know, it's easy for us to say, hey, it's been great. We're playing the last game, and no matter what happens, it's been great. But you know what? You guys aren't that way. We're here. They're keeping score. And when it's over, let's make sure that we've got the most points. Let's go, fellas. Let's go.
2 teams were left, 23 players, each with a dream. 32 minutes of basketball was ahead. 27,000 fans looked on.
And controlling the tap is Jabril Conte. Robbins, baseline right side, and the pass to the point is taken away. Ryan Reed one on none to the other end, lays it up and in. Waiting, working on Roosevelt. Jackson swing it right side to Sensabaugh. He drives baseline, puts it up over Oakley and banks it in. Arsang left side to David McKinney. They drop it down inside. Matt Reed spins, puts it up with the left hand, and it is good. 2 seconds left. Oakley.
Now suck it up and play. You are not losers, so you play like winners. Get yourself back in this game. Play every possession. Quit worrying about the mistakes and start playing.
Delta came out cold, down 7-0. An uphill battle would lie ahead.
Left side, Jackson. Baseline, Robbins. Three-pointer from the corner is good. For man defensively. As Lynch right up in McKinney's face. Baseline left side, Wysang. Bounces down low to Ryan Reed inside. He works over Robbins and puts it up and in. And Sensabaugh comes up with the rebound. 3 minutes to play, first half. Sensabaugh dribbles up to the three-point line and buries it. 10 seconds left. In the half, Patrick Jackson. 5 seconds. Working left side, fires the three, got a screen, hit the shot for 1 second to play. In the half, Bloomington North will not get a shot off.
And you can play much better. If you were playing your best and you're losing, that's a different story. But you're really not playing your best. And there are things you can do, especially defensively, to hurt these guys.
The Delta Eagles are down 13 points at the half, but that is nothing new to them. They were trailing in both the semi-state and the semifinals in the fourth quarter and came back to win. Today's game may be a little harder, though, because they're facing the #1 team in the state.
Wysang drives the lane, puts up the running one-hander, and it falls. The Sensabaugh. Jeremy out to Matt Reed now in there. To Quet Thwaney left side. The three-pointer is good.
The Cougars' lead ballooned to 21. Could Delta make a run?
2 minutes left to play in the quarter. Patrick Jackson drives baseline, kicks it out free throw line to Scheidler. One dribble, 10-footer is good for Ty Scheidler. Robbins wants it in the left corner, can't get it to it. Right side, Scheidler, jump shot is good. Just inside the arc. To Patrick. Patrick lost it, got it back, banked it in from head off. Patrick Jackson now with 9 points, and it's 55-41. Still life, but Delta's got to go here in a hurry.
It was a burst of hope. 6 quick points, but Bloomington North answered the charge.
Out front, Reed drives in the lane, lays it up, missed it wide left. Conte, though, follows it up and in. Right side, Sensabaugh. Jeremy with 2 minutes. Down low, Duaney. Backdoor cut, McKinney. Head and shoulder fake. The defender went flying by, and McKinney put it up and in. Delta, Maynard let it fly from the half-court line. It is short. The horn goes off. And Bloomington North has won its first ever boys basketball.
No, I'm going to wake up in the morning and say, hey, man, we're state champs, and just be excited. But, you know, right now I'm just kind of numb.
Bloomington North ended an era. Never again will a team from Indiana be undisputed champions. Will the new class system alter this state's spirit for the game? Maybe. Will the littlest of Hoosiers keep dreaming of last-second baskets? An answer only the future will reveal. Indiana's Open Invitation Tournament is now history.
No longer will every schoolboy in Indiana set his sights on the same goal. Next year, there will be 4 champs instead of 1. But it is interesting to note that the IHSAA's rule on class sports will only take effect for 2 years, and then they'll reevaluate whether or not to keep it then. I know that there are many people who hope they will change their mind. We'll be right back with more SSA after this.
Welcome back to SSA. What's the buzz in the state of Vermont? The Essex girls basketball team. Check this out. They had a 62-game winning streak.
I mean, it's a special thing to be at Essex, and with that winning streak, it's even more special.
The streak was a smooth ride for the Hornets, but the season became a roller coaster ride. Chaplain Valley Union High School broke the Essex streak on Game 62 on CVU's home floor. But everyone knows that roller coasters have very high peaks. And when CVU came to the Essex playground for a rematch, the Hornets peaked just at the right time. They avenged their loss to the Crusaders to become state tournament champions for the 4th straight time. This special edition of the Honor Roll is brought to you by McDonald's. Have you had your break today?
Welcome back to SSA. One story that has been a staple on this show is the Lady Pioneers from